Hello, this is Dave Sugarbaker, and today is the 10th day of December. It's the second Sunday of Advent, and during this Advent period, I'm doing a series of stories and creative things. And today I'm going to talk about somebody that I had not really known about until recently, and that was a Christmas character called Befana. We love our own Christmas stories, but unless there's some kind of cross-cultural connection, we can miss the stories that are coming out of other cultures. Befana is a legend out of Italy, and she is probably older than Christianity, but as happens with many pieces of culture, when Christianity comes along, it incorporates the stories that are already part of the culture and makes them a part of Christian lore. But in popular folklore, Befana visits children, all the children of Italy, on the eve of the Feast of the Epiphany. That would be January 5th, to fill their socks with candy and presents if they're good, and to fill their socks with a lump of coal or dark candy if they're bad. In many of the poorer parts of Italy and in rural Sicily, the coal is replaced with a stick because coal is just too valuable to put in a child's sock. So it's replaced with a stick instead. The Befana is usually portrayed as an old woman riding a broomstick through the air, wearing a black shawl and covered in soot, because she enters the children's houses through the chimney. Sound familiar? She is often smiling and carrying a bag or a hamper filled with candy and gifts and sticks. Christian legend says that Befana was approached by the three wise men a few days before the birth of the infant Jesus. They asked for directions to where the baby was because they had seen the star in the sky. But Befana didn't know where the child was. She gave them shelter for a night because she was considered the best housekeeper in the village, and therefore her home would be the most pleasant for visitors, especially important visitors, to stay. The Magi, the wise men, in turn invited Befana to join them on the journey to find the baby Jesus. But she declined, stating that she was too busy with her housework. Later that evening, Befana has a change of heart and tries to catch up with the wise men. But that night she was not able to find them or the birthplace of Jesus. And so to this day, Befana searches for the baby Jesus. She leaves all the good children toys and candy or fruit, while the bad children get coal or dark candy or sticks or onions or garlic. From what I understand, all Italian children, and this is something that wouldn't happen in this country, but all Italian children expect to find a lump of coal in their sock. Especially rock, it's actually not a lump of coal, it's actually rock candy made black with food coloring. But every child in Italy will acknowledge that they have been at least occasionally naughty during the last year. But tradition says that Befana will hit every household where there is a child. And also, if Befana spots somebody looking directly at her, they'll receive a playful whack on the shoulder from her broomstick because she doesn't want to be looked at directly. And I think that's why they would all want to practice the side eye and be looking at Befana out of the corner of their eye instead. There's another version of the legend of Befana that has her spending her days cleaning and sweeping, and one day the Magi come to her door in search of the baby Jesus. However, Befana turns them away because she's too busy cleaning. And feeling guilty later, she decides to find Jesus on her own by following the big star in the sky, which she believes is going to point the way. She brings along a bag filled with baked goods and gifts for Jesus, and a broom to help the new mother clean. Despite her best efforts, she never finds the Christ child. She's still searching after all these centuries. On the eve of Epiphany, Befana comes to every house where there is a child and leaves a gift. Although she's been unsuccessful in her search, she still leaves gifts for children everywhere, because the Christ child can be found in all children. Being a good housekeeper, though, many say that Befana will sweep the floor of a house that she visits before she leaves. And to some, the sweeping means a kind of sweeping away of the problems of the old year that's just ending right around that time, and preparation for the beginning of a new year. The families where Befana visits will typically leave a glass of wine and a few morsels of food for Befana. The legend of Befana is known throughout Italy. Every year in the Italian region of Urbania, there's a huge festival to celebrate Epiphany, with 30,000 to 50,000 people attending. Hundreds of Befanas are present. Some, and I don't know exactly the details of this, but some swinging from the main tower in town, maybe to simulate flying. They juggle, they dance, they greet all the children. Befana has some similarities to our own rotund red elf. Although in his latest guise, Santa has only been around for a couple hundred years. Befana reaches back at least 2,000 years. Befana brings gifts down the chimney, like somebody we know, but she also conjures up echoes of Halloween with her black outfit and her riding a broom. One of the best messages I found in reading about Befana is that she brings gifts to all the children, since in each child there is a bit of the Christ child. In our celebration of the season, I hope we can celebrate all children. They're all a gift. They are all a miracle. They are all Emmanuel, God with us. Our Christmas Eve services in West Union and Manchester this year are going to include a poem about Befana, and I'd like to read it for you in closing. Befana, the housewife, scrubbing her pane, saw 3 old sages ride down the lane, saw 3 gray travelers pass her door, Gaspar, Balthazar, Melchior. Where journey you, sirs? She asked them. Balthazar answered, to Bethlehem, for we have news of a marvelous thing. Born in a stable is Christ the King. Give him my welcome. Then Gaspar smiled. Come with us, mistress, to greet the child. Oh, happily, happily would I fare, were my dusting through, and I'd polished the stair. Old Melchior leaned on his saddle horn. Then send but a gift to the small newborn. Oh, gladly, gladly I'd send him one, were the hearthstone swept and my weaving done. As soon as ever I'd baked my bread, I'll fetch him a pillow for his head. And a coverlet too, Befana said. When the rooms are aired and the linen dry, I'll look for the babe. But the 3 rode by. She worked for a day and a night and a day. Then, gifts in her hands, took up her way, but she never could find where the Christ child lay. And still she wanders at Christmas tide, houseless, whose house was all her pride, whose heart was tardy, whose gifts were late, wanders and knocks on every gate, crying, "Good people, the bells begin. Put off your toiling and let love in." God bless you. Take care of yourself in this Christmas tide. And if you find value here, I'd appreciate it if you'd pass it around. Thanks.